Tonight on Connecticut's news station, the votes are still being counted, but one Bridgeport mayoral candidate has declared victory in tonight's unprecedented fourth election.
And warm, wet, and windy before temperatures take an absolute nosedive. We'll talk about a wild 36 hours ahead.
Plus, the jury begins deliberations. A look at where the Michelle Troconis trial stands as the wait for a verdict officially begins.
Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Well, first, ballot fraud allegations, and now 4 elections later, this could be it for Bridgeport. We begin tonight in the Park City for the conclusion of a months-long saga, one that Fox 61 has been following since day one. Good evening. I'm Sarah Sanchez. Just moments ago, incumbent Mayor Joe Ganim declared victory in the mayoral election. His opponent, John Gomes, who was on the ballot as an independent candidate, has announced his campaign will be taking a pause. Connecticut's news station has live team coverage for you tonight. Fox 61's Matt Caron is with the Gomes campaign. We'll hear more about what he had to say in just a moment. But first, let's send things right out to Fox 61's Jake Garcia, who's with the Ganim campaign. Jake.
Well, Sarah, it only took nearly 45 minutes after the polls closed for incumbent Mayor Joe Ganim to declare victory in this special election race. Now, at the time of his speech, only 25% of the votes were counted. Ganim was welcomed with cheers 4 more years as he took the stage to address the crowd. Ganim thanked his supporters and said that now was the time to get down to business and getting back to the work for the people of Bridgeport, and said voters sent a clear message.
If it wasn't clear 3 times in a row, it's clear today, louder than ever. Bridgeport has spoken. The people of Bridgeport have in a resounding way answered the call for the 4th time in the middle of February, and said yes to progress in the city that we've started and are committed to continuing with your help. Thank you, Bridgeport.
And following his speech, he said that this is a new day for the city, and he's focused on the future rather than the past, and urged people to join in or get out of the way because Bridgeport is on the move. Now, some supporters have decided to stick around and celebrate, only a few dozen in fact, but it was a whirlwind of a victory speech. Reporting live in Bridgeport, Jake Garcia, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Jake. As for the mayor's opponent in this 4th election in Bridgeport, John Gomes isn't quite conceding. He spoke to his constituents tonight, and the message he's conveying remains positive. Fox 61's Matt Caron continues our coverage from Bridgeport with more from the Gomes campaign. Matt.
Well, right now we are at the Omanel restaurant in Bridgeport, where John Gomes arrived just a few minutes ago to a very enthusiastic crowd, although he had to deliver a very sobering message to his supporters, but he did it with a whole lot of energy. Now, right now, with about 25% of the vote in, Mayor Ganim is leading John Gomes by 55 to 40%, and barring any unforeseen legal circumstances, Mayor Ganim is poised to be reelected as mayor of Bridgeport. But John Gomes basically told people that his quest for the mayor's office has concluded, but that his movement to bring transparency and accountability back to the democratic process here in the city continues. And he took to the stage just minutes ago. Here's what he had to say.
Conceding, no. Conceding is to give up. Conceding is to give up. We understand our journey has ended with this election, but the fight and the movement will continue.
Are you accepting that he won, though?
The numbers are what they are, but the facts behind it speak the truth. And I will let every voter, I will let every elected official interpret it as such. But we know the facts. We understand what has happened.
So Gomes said he's going to be sleeping in late tomorrow, taking a few days to decompress, but then he's going to be back at it, advocating for change at the state level to make elections more secure. He said people need to be held accountable for what he says are the crimes that were committed in this election. Let's be honest, it was an uphill battle for Gomes from the beginning, who lost 3 rounds of voting and in the last couple of days ceded key state endorsements from the Democratic Party officials to Mayor Ganim, endorsements that Gomes really did wear as a badge of honor towards the end, saying that they represented the status quo, which he says has been a history of fraud and corruption in the city of Bridgeport. We're going to have much more coming up on the news at 10:30 and then again at 11 o'clock. But for now, we're live in Bridgeport. Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Quite the journey, Matt. All right, thank you. Turning now to the forecast. The rain is here. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank has a look at where those showers are right now. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, and it looks like we'll be seeing this rain off and on right through this time tomorrow night, following which it will turn very windy, and then temperatures are going to drop like a rock, taking us from this spring preview that we're in right now back to winter reality for later Wednesday night into Thursday morning. But yes, the rain has arrived, and in some cases it has been locally heavy. We're seeing some of those downpours right now from Windsor through Stafford. You're seeing it right down the 395 corridor from Putnam all the way down through Groton, Colchester, and Lebanon. If we widen out the picture, you'll see we'll get 1 round of rain to come through. There will be a bit of a break in the action for a while overnight, and then we'll see showers kind of fill back in again as we head into tomorrow. As we go from temperatures in the 50s tomorrow to temperatures in the 20s later Wednesday night, a front will come through, and that front will mean business and could actually cause winds to gust up to, on the high end, 50 miles an hour. That's why there's a wind advisory in effect starting tomorrow night at 7 p.m. and going until 7 a.m. on Thursday, because there could be isolated outages. In the meantime, temperatures are right around the 50-degree mark, so it is still incredibly mild, and temperatures will stay mild as we head towards daybreak. So during the day tomorrow, off and on rain, warm and wet, and then windy with falling temperatures as we head into tomorrow night. We'll take you through the ups and downs, and while temperatures do cool down on Thursday, they don't stay cool. We'll explain coming up. Sarah.
Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, with that storm expected to roll in, officials with Eversource say the company is getting ready. They have crews on standby, prepared for any outages. They're also telling customers to prepare an emergency kit just in case. If you do experience an outage, though, make sure you contact them. After a month of testimony, hundreds of pieces of evidence, and dozens of witnesses, it's time for the jury to deliberate in the Michelle Troconis trial. Each side wrapped up its case with closing arguments this afternoon. Fox 61's Julie LeBlanc has been in the courtroom from the very beginning, covering the course of this trial, and she has the very latest.
Jennifer is dead, and Fotis and Michelle Troconis intended that to happen.
Assistant State's Attorney Michelle Manning getting one last chance to speak directly to jurors, passing the baton to the 6 people now left to decide the fate of Michelle Troconis, the once girlfriend of Fotis Doulos.
Fotis Doulos needed help to commit that murder. He needed an alibi. He needed the defendant.
Prosecutors allege Fotis killed his wife, Jennifer Farber Doulos, at her home in New Canaan on May 24, 2019. They say Troconis went with him to Hartford to dump the evidence and later helped clean the Toyota Tacoma, which they say was used while committing the crime. The state pointed to the hours of interviews with Troconis when her account of what she says they did that day changed several times. Times they say she was lying.
If that's really the case, she has memory lapses, she has false implanted memories, she doesn't speak the language. If that's really what's going on, why is she so good on details that don't matter? And so bad on details that incriminate her?
Prosecutors pointed to the evidence laid out over the last month, evidence they say couldn't be a coincidence.
Is it just a coincidence that the defendant's DNA was found on the opening of a garbage bag that also contained bloodstains, tape, and Jennifer Doulos' DNA? Are all these things just coincidences, or is the defendant guilty?
But defense attorney John Schoenhorn argues that evidence is all circumstantial and pure speculation.
There is nothing to suggest that Michelle had any clue about what was going to happen in New Canaan on May 24th, 2019. More importantly, there's nothing to suggest that Michelle would even think that Fotis was capable of doing anything like that. Again, Michelle simply did not know.
And when it comes to motive, Schoenhorn says there isn't one. With things starting to turn in Fotis's favor in the custody case the month Jennifer went missing. He says his client was looking at the light at the end of the tunnel and even considering moving to Colorado to get away from it all.
Why at that moment would Michelle agree to risk her life, risk her daughter's entire family life, to at that point say, I think we now want to get rid of Jennifer Dulos? It doesn't make sense. It's pure speculation.
Schoenhorn also offering different possibilities with other people being involved other than his client.
This trial is a tragedy, no question about it. It is a tragedy for many people, including people that are sitting here in this audience, in this courtroom right now. But this case here is not about sympathy, it's not about antipathy and revenge. There is only speculation and no facts. We are all sitting here in hindsight, deciding what happened after the fact, what one should have known versus did know.
After closing arguments, the judge spent about an hour instructing the jury before they retired into the deliberation room. Now that process will continue tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We're in Stamford. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
We caught up with Draconis' defense attorney, John Schoenhorn, this afternoon. He had this to say about what's next.
I don't speculate on what the jury is going to do. I don't know what they consider important. To be honest, I don't even know if they've started yet looking at the exhibits. There are so many, they have to be carted in. My guess is the first thing they're going to do is they're going to pick a foreperson that may or may not tell us anything. I don't know. Not with this particular case. It's going on for so long.
Connecticut's news station has been following every moment in the courtroom for 29 days now and will continue until a verdict is reached. Stay with Fox 61 for continued coverage of the Michelle Draconis trial. We have much more coming up here on the news at 10. The search continues for a suspect in a deadly hit and run we first reported on the Fox 61 News at 5. We're bringing you the very latest details from police out of Vernon. That's next. And results just into our newsroom. Out of Michigan tonight, state officials have declared a winner in this year's presidential primary.
And winter cold remains on hold. We're also dealing with just one of many rounds of rain in store over the next 24 hours. We'll talk timing and the big changes ahead coming up.